sometimes you wonder, like, what is the deal? And so someone kind of pressed on it, and the reason is because I have to buy all of them, and I don't want to have to buy a fourth one. You don't have to buy anything. If you're a store that doesn't want to carry this variant, you don't have to carry every variant. That's not a thing. That's not a rule.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics. Keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
So many yawns right before we got started. I want to mention that. Like, sometimes I'll listen to some podcasts and they'll have a little bit of, like, the pre-record. Like, they're Skype calling each other or whatever.
Yeah, you just want to make sure that the recording process has started.
You're checking
technology.
levels.
Yeah,
and
sure.
then you do a little, like, hey, buddy, how's your week been? Whatever, chit-chat. Okay, now we're going to record our podcast. So for people wondering, what do Patrick and Dal talk about before they start recording? Nothing. They just yawn a whole bunch. And then they start recording.
They clear their throats. They cough a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed you called that out because I was hoping that you were going to actually yawn as soon as we started recording.
No.
And that I was going to lay into you because you were desecrating the seriousness to which we take this podcast.
I am holding it back using every ounce of my strength.
That's right. You burped on last week's.
Did I? Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
In fact, in an episode years back, the intro was just us burping.
Okay, I'm glad it wasn't just me.
No, it was both of us.
Okay, good.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun things that we've done only to entertain ourselves in the history of this podcast, and seeing as how I think this is episode 354,
golly,
there's a significant back catalog for people to investigate if they so choose to.
For sure. At least 6 listenable episodes.
Probably
not more than 6.
I don't go back and listen, except when I'm looking for maybe a specific creator interview or a specific audio drop-in I feel like we could use for effect. I used to do a lot more audio drop-ins, sound effects and things, but I've been told people don't like that, so we don't continue to do that.
Plus, I mean, you would spend a lot of time on them.
Yeah, and there's that as well. This already takes up a tremendous amount of time whilst not at the store. Mm-hmm. It would be impossible to edit this at the store.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
And even recording in the store is not ideal for audio levels.
Yeah, I mean, we stopped doing that after the first version of Contest of Challengers because it was just so difficult to line up times to do it and not be interrupted by the door opening or the phone ringing
and
or
even
someone needing help.
Occasionally we'll go back and do it after hours when we're talking to customers or something, but having one entire wall of glass, it doesn't really cancel out traffic noise, and you can constantly hear.
And I mean, beyond regular traffic noise, there's any number of police cars and ambulances shooting up Western Avenue because it's a main thoroughfare.
So that is why we record now in our ultra deluxe Contest of Challengers recording studio.
Rooftop recording studio, yeah.
Top
floor of the building.
Vaulted ceilings and skylights abound.
Yep.
I mean, not
so many egg
not
cartons.
in the booth. You don't want skylight in the booth. That takes away from sound dampening.
It does.
With the set egg cartons you just mentioned.
Yeah.
That's what Kiss lined their original practice space with, just hundreds of egg cartons.
I assume it's a thing that a lot of bands that have no budget
that would
use
have
in the early days.
Egg residue in it, and that would attract roaches.
Oh, golly.
As far as I know, Contest of Challengers is roach-free.
Limited amount of roach parts per 1,000 podcasts.
So anyway, thank you for listening to this, a comics industry business podcast on the Yak Channel Podcast Network in Chicago. I am Patrick Brower.
And I'm Dal Bush.
Collectively, we own and operate Challengers Comics and Conversation, found at 1845 Northwestern, and also at challengerscomics.com. But, you know what? I did that backwards. I meant to say...
Let's do the website first,
I meant
and
to
then
say...
we'll do the address second, so you can segue into...
Well, I'm not fixing it too late. Found at challengerscomics.com, and geographically currently found at 1845 Northwestern
Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago, Illinois, as I believe James Van Ostel puts it in the end of the episode.
And that is our legal address, and we have a lease on that goes through March 31st, 2018. And avid listeners will note that we've frequently talked about not knowing where our home is going to be after that because our lease is up, and we've had little to no contact with our landlord about renewing.
Yeah, the last 4 or 5 months has been a lot of looking around, trying to get a word from the people that we're currently renting from, figuring out what the best course of action going forward is, all that stuff.
We now have an answer.
Yes.
So, moving forward, as far as we know, up through, after,
knock wood.
That's down knocking wood. I wonder if the rain can be heard. It sounds like it's pouring outside.
It really, the sky opened
so
up.
I wonder if that, see how good our soundproofing really is in this studio.
I'm going to go staple some more egg cartons to the wall, so you do your bit.
Okay, I had scrambled eggs for breakfast, so there should be an empty
I hope
carton.
you had 17 cartons.
So, after our lease is up on March 31st, 2018...
as of Easter Sunday, 2018.
Yes, as of April Fool's Day, no less. From April 1st, 2018 through March 31st, 2021, you can find us at
1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago, Illinois.
We got our landlord, a new person from our building ownership, got in touch with us. I think we talked about it last week.
Came together real quick relative to everything else that felt like weeks would go by with no response.
We got a new lease, or if you will, a lease extension today, signed it today, and got it back to them today, and they've confirmed receipt of the signed lease.
Yeah, so it's locked in.
They didn't sign it yet. We signed it first, and they sign it.
I think it'll be fine.
I'll feel a little bit more comfortable when we get the mailed copy of
the actual signed and
but
notarized copy.
But yeah, as far as we're concerned, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, good news. For at least 3 years, we'll be selling comic books at 1845 Northwestern Avenue, and that means that we'll be there for probably 5 issues of Bitch Planet. I think probably. It's rude. Love that book never comes out. Do you remember when they were releasing a 6 issue?
You need to put a colon in your the way you said it.
Do you remember when they were releasing the entire?
It sounds like you said,
miniseries?
"I love that book never comes out."
I love that book.
Colon.
Semicolon.
That's what I meant. Semicolon.
Never comes out. Do you remember when they were releasing an entire triple feature miniseries by other creators specifically so they would have some content out between issue 10 and issue 11? And now the collections come out for triple feature, and 11 is nowhere on the schedule.
I don't know.
Soon as that book comes out is what, April? I mean,
I don't even know.
Man, that's not good.
No.
That's not striking while the iron's hot.
Hey, they're talking about finally a second issue of Cal Exit.
They're talking about it,
yeah, sure. Talking about a lot of things. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Are we? Okay.
So, now we get to concentrate on internal things.
Sure.
Like perhaps changing of flooring, perhaps changing of lighting.
Yeah, perhaps.
Things we didn't want to commit to until we knew we were staying.
We're 5 years into our current exterior signage, so it's an interesting time for us to start thinking about maybe modernizing some of that.
We had a long talk about that.
Yeah.
And I came up with a kind of a way to do it.
Okay, I was going to talk to the people at FedEx office this evening just to quote out, I went to the store today and measured the panels of art that we have to figure out,
okay,
so I can go, all right, it's 58 by 48. What are our options? What would those cost? So we get some idea of, is this even feasible for them? But anyway,
the more I think about it, the more I don't know if I'm on board.
Okay.
Just because the Chris G windows are so iconic and so representative of the store, and changing them to, I can't think of the word.
Advertisements?
Yeah.
The way that we can mitigate that is, what if we redid the top, the store name signs at the top to incorporate a Chris G. Russo design? Not something we've already got, but maybe talk to him and go, look, we've got these spaces. They say Challengers, Comics, and Conversation. Do we need all 9 or 10 or whatever panels of that to say Challengers Comics and Conversation? Can we work with that to make something that's...
Do you mean the really big ones?
The ones right at the top that say just the store name.
There are 4 of those altogether.
But I mean, we've got 3 different windows that we have. Like, there's one above Sidekicks, there's one above the store, and then there's one on the second part of the store. So and each of those is...
Oh, 3 of those, yeah.
At least 3 panels. So, So we've got basically the same amount of space just all the way at the top of the building instead of on the ground floor.
What if we did like a Chris G image up there, and then for the small...
The one that just have the C logo?
C's, put the store name that way?
Okay, I mean, this is just literally top of my head.
Right,
I wasn't even thinking
did your
about
Chris G idea incorporate the logo as well, or the store name?
Yeah, I mean, I'd want it to not just be characters. We need it to be something where it's like, hey, people from a car or a bus look up, or they see it from the train, like, oh, Challengers. But we could do it either way. I mean, I'd be open to talking to him about, this is the space we've got. What do you think we should do? Instead of, like, the last time where we had more of a clear idea of, like, here, this...
Okay.
You figure it out.
So there's 3 of them. If we leave the middle one Challengers and we do...
Yeah, you could just do stuff on the sides.
Like having everybody come toward the middle.
But I also kind of like the idea of, what if we did it just in where the C's are? Where we've got this incredibly long strip that runs basically the length of the store. What if we had him figure something out for that?
Okay. Small, but a lot more characters.
Yeah, exactly. Gotcha. Something that is like almost like a ribbon around the store.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anyway, all of these are ideas. I just like the idea of having more exterior-facing advertisements.
And I mean, that's literally a point that I brought up last week as well. Mm-hmm. So it's not fair to me to say, no, this thing that I suggested, no. Because you suggested a completely different version of it. But
yeah, the thing is, I'd rather you say no so we can talk about, well, what's a way that we can address this and maybe make a version that everybody's happy with. Instead of, it's this or nothing. It's not. It's not.
So we'll just call Chris and say, hey, man, you've been to the store. Use your memory.
Exactly.
Figure out the sizes. We're not going to measure anything for you. Just do it. Just, like...
And then if he's in town for TFCon US in October, then maybe he can see what he drew, and it's in the windows, and it's there, and he can look at it and go, yeah,
right. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. It was a year ago this week that we had changed up the layout of the store by putting the break in the middle of the graphic novels.
Was it a year ago?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Facebook memories remind me of all these things.
Oh, man. And it's probably only a few months until we hit the year anniversary of completely reshelving all of the single issue comics.
Yeah, that's just after...
Right after Free Comic
Day. Yeah.
And we're currently thinking about changing how we shelve the graphic novels, but I'm only a third of the way through the data entry on that to figure out if it's feasible.
There was a picture that I saw on a Facebook group today of a store that did it that way that I was going to point out to you later.
Yeah. I don't know if we should just say it because it's not necessarily going to happen. Genre racking. We're thinking about genre racking.
I was just going to give the whole, we're talking cryptically again.
Yeah. I'd rather just say it because, one, again, we don't know that this is happening, so it's not like we're giving the game away or teasing something that would be a huge fun surprise. It wouldn't necessarily be a fun surprise. It's just a thing that we're thinking about because it hopefully addresses some of the things that we were talking about in the last few episodes about how foot traffic has changed in 2017 and in ways that we can sort of figure that out better in 2018. And one of those ideas is if people are coming in and they're presented with 12 alphabetical bookshelves of graphic novels, it can be kind of difficult for them to suss out what they're looking for. And occasionally we have people coming in saying, hey, I'm looking for a good mystery graphic novel. And then it's on us to remember, wait, what's a good mystery graphic novel? What's something we like? And you can usually think of 2 or 3 that you really like, but you're not giving, a ton of different options. But if we had a crime mystery section, we could go here. And then in this section, here's a couple I like, but look at this bookshelf, see what looks good to you, that kind of thing. But some of that is just down to the physical realities of the store and our fixtures and determining, is that even possible to do? So it may not happen.
It's weird to me because I've never worked in a store that did that, but I also, up until last May, never worked in a store that had a dedicated New This Week shelf.
Sure.
So there's obviously an adjustment to it, but it's true that all bookstores have that.
Every single one. When you go into a bookstore and you're looking for a new Harlan Coben thing, you don't go looking for the title of the Harlan Coben book.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Dal, when I want a new Harlan Coben book, I walk in and it's right there.
It's right there.
On the front table because,
sure.
I mean, Dal.
Harlan Coben.
It's Harlan Coben. Just started to read Don't Let Go today, and it really grabs you in.
Did you...
And
wait, you're not reading it right now. You let it go. You put it down.
I put it down.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you can put it down. You just can't let it go.
But
And he ties it... He ties it into his... It's an emotional context.
Oh, I see.
Not to let someone's memory go or someone's love
Or I guess
go.
as long as you keep thinking about the book.
Right, I haven't let it go. He ties it into his own universe very well. It's like a Terry Moore book where you have its own set of characters, but then previous characters wander through a scene.
Sure.
Which it always... I like that.
Or like Sin City. Sin City was one of the first...
or, if you will, the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, I was going to say Marvel Universe, but I thought, no, Sin City, because it's the idea of like one author having kind of like a town to play with and not necessarily telling stories chronologically. So you might have one character story and then the next story might be something that happened before that story featuring a different character. So Marv could keep showing up in a billion different Sin City stories despite him dying at the end of the first Sin City story. Spoiler, I guess.
And that would go in our crime section, yes?
Yes. So one of the tools I'm using is Diamond's internal listings. They have genre codes for basically everything that they offer that we've stocked from them. So some stuff is really obvious. We would have like a superhero section. So most stuff from like DC and Marvel that isn't from a sub-imprint would just go in those sections. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy, despite being maybe a science fiction book, still takes place in the larger Marvel Universe superhero stories, so it goes in the superhero section.
If they have costumes.
Pretty much. So even stuff like Ex Machina or potentially League of Extraordinary Gentlemen fit a lot of the versions of a superhero story despite some of the other trappings, so it's going to go in the superhero section. The tricky thing is some stuff that's kind of edge cases, where they could fall under a bunch of different things. I usually lean towards... what is Diamond saying? So, like, Hellboy's going to go in the horror section, even though I could maybe make a case for going in the fantasy section. The fun things are the times where multiple volumes are coded multiple different ways. So, like, the single issues for something might be science fiction, but the collection is listed as fantasy. Or one volume is horror, the next volume is fantasy, and the next volume is superheroes. And it's just like, you guys...
I'm okay with science fiction fantasy being one section.
They will be. In this instance, they probably will be.
My question, obviously, there's a lot of case-by-case basis is, but Fatale, crime or horror?
I'd have to look and see what Diamond did it as. Okay. One of the reasons I'm using Diamond's tool, one is just to get an idea of, like, let's just break stuff up into categories and then see what we've got. We can tweak things if we decide to move forward, but just to get a raw number of how many books would go in each section, and could we do it that way? But the other thing is, I want to create a fallback so that if we need to copy this information over to our database, or if someone who's working who isn't us and doesn't know where everything is needs to find it, they can just go to Diamond's database and go, oh, it's going to be in horror.
Okay.
Because that's going to happen, where someone's going to be in on a Saturday or a Friday, and you're not going to be available, and they're going to say, hey, where's this book at?
Oh, don't give me all that much credit. I'm sure I'll be looking up just as much as anybody.
But yeah, I think it could do a lot to expand how we're approaching new customers coming in who aren't necessarily looking for a particular book or following a particular series, but are just looking for something good to read, and they stick to different genres. And worst case scenario with all these things when we've changed stuff, we've changed graphic novels probably 3 major ways since we've been open. We switched it back.
More. Yeah.
I mean, it's gone back and forth between a few different major separations. So, worst case scenario, I spend a very long night putting it all back together. I've done it before.
I mean, we've made these major changes and like 8 months later gone back.
Yeah.
I don't see us changing something like the New This Week wall.
Yeah,
just because we got rid of that space.
Yeah, it's been almost a year, and I'd be hard-pressed to say it's been a negative.
Well, I don't know, Dale. Sales have been down that year, so...
Sales have been down. They were down before May, and they were down after May. So, there's that.
Interesting. Now that I'm pointing fingers...
Yeah, it was definitely because of that, which is why every other store was reporting incredibly down sales for the year. Because they also all changed the way they rack their single-issue comics after Free Comic Book Day. God damn it, we shouldn't have been on that mailing list.
No, I thought that their sales were down because we changed. And I was about to apologize to everybody.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody.
There's still aftermath to... Well, obviously, aftermath being day-to-day existence.
Still running a comic shop in 2018.
There's still stores reporting down sales. There's still stores...
Yeah, boy.
Not only stores reporting that they're closing, but stores that stealth closed. Like Night Flight Comics
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, they closed like a month or so ago.
Gosh.
They just Mimi Cruz, an Eisner Award-winning store.
Yeah, that's rough.
Just snuck out of business.
Very sad
Although
to
they
see.
say it was more, lease was up and they're just like, we're done.
Yeah, a few stores have done that over the years, especially when you've been doing it for decades like they have.
Our heroes will always be Rocket Comics,
Rocket
Chip in New York, who had a store for 5 years. It got a lot of awards and accolades and industry attention. And after 5 years, you're like, okay, we're done.
Got to the end of the lease and said, hey, this isn't as fun anymore. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that. I definitely had those days around year 5 where it was like, oh, man, yeah.
Around year 5
well,
and beyond.
I'm using it for their example.
Okay.
I'm saying when we were at the same
Point.
point in Challenger's existence that they wrapped up Rocket Ship, it was very easy to see a parallel there, to see, yes, things get difficult and there are mounting inconveniences and humiliations that usually, when you reach a point where you could turn it off, you go, yeah, maybe let's end it now.
If I remember, I will use mounting inconveniences and humiliations as this episode title.
Oh, Patrick.
But I'll forget, because, we'll record for like 40 more minutes. I'll forget by that time.
So many of our episode titles are so depressing sounding.
We've changed from just a clever 2 or 3 word title to try to be a hook.
Okay.
To get somebody's going to listen to see why we said that.
If we learned something from our popularity on Reddit, it's saying depressing things is usually pretty good for our brand, I guess.
Right. But the only problem is, A, I've already forgotten it.
Okay.
But I knew it was at the 20-minute
you'll
mark.
Edit this.
You're right.
I mean...
But B, there's no payoff to that phrase.
No.
We're not listing our...
It's a tease.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a context tease.
But, I mean, that's the point. It's supposed to be a tease to get you to want to listen just in case you haven't. And that's in the case that somebody stumbles across this podcast for the first time, doesn't know anything about it, and needs a reason to listen, and that hopefully the title will be enough to say, oh, all right, I'll try that.
Sure.
There have been follow-up pieces about our initial sales reports, specifically on the Comics Beat by Todd Allen,
Thanks, Todd.
who actually...
I'm sorry if I got in your way by mentioning something about Captain America 700. I don't know if you're mad at me or not mad at me, but if you're mad at me, I'm sorry. And if you're not mad at me, happy to help.
We're good.
Todd Allen.
No. The idea of someone listening to this podcast and taking notes to be able to summarize it,
Sure. Which we do not do,
is mind-boggling. Like I can't. I feel like we're punishing somebody.
Oh, maybe. That's another positive.
It's literally a point. There's been a significant number of people in the last week that have mentioned that they just found it or they just listened, and we expected that. We knew last week's episode was going to get a lot more attention.
Yep.
But I feel like anybody who comes back is going to see, oh, this is what they're normally like.
Yeah,
so we don't have that much of a
I'm glad we
juicy
could bring
topic.
that up because I was thinking about that because you had mentioned when you wanted to record this week, and I said, okay, sure, and your next thing was, I have nothing.
Yeah, but
Which
I
we
say that
which
80% of the time.
I was going to say, we say that a lot.
Yeah.
And it reminded me like, oh, if you came in with last week's, that's the rare one. We do like 1 or 2 of those a year where it's like, hey, we've got a really big thing we've got to talk about and digest and offer feedback on and, theorize about. Most of it is just like, how are we filling 55 minutes? What happened with you this week? Hey, here's a funny story about Batman comic books.
It's never that inconsequential. It's always things that we deal with. It's usually, well, I mean,
Rarely.
it isn't 100% that.
Rarely. I would say it's rarely that.
And we're not just like, we got to fill 50 minutes. If we don't, we don't. We've had shorter, we've had longer.
Sure.
Last week's, which we thought was like, 40 minutes and we're good. We did like an hour and 20.
Yeah, it's true.
But ultimately, it depends on what's been happening for the week and what's happening in the industry. And
yeah, we don't have like a team every week putting together stories for us that we can talk about. Like, sometimes nothing happens, or sometimes stuff happens that we don't care about.
I would hate to be a talk radio DJ to have to do this kind of stuff for 4 hours a day. We have a hard enough time doing it 1 hour a week.
Some people like that, though.
Sure.
I mean, some people like just having a forum to just talk about whatever they want to talk about.
And I know that people listening to this mostly do it at work if they have jobs where they can.
Work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But so in the past week, we had a very low sales week.
Welcome to January in comic books.
Yeah,
in a 5-week month.
Yeah, it's a 5-week month, so outputs are smaller. publishers take their monthly 4-week release schedule and have to stretch it out for 5 weeks because there's a fifth Wednesday in the month, so they do that by releasing less product each week.
Except for DC, that usually uses their 5th week just to plug in a bunch of annuals or miniseries or one-shots.
The last 5th week that we dealt with gave us Doomsday Clock #1.
Sure. Might happen again this month. I don't remember.
Really? Doomsday Clock #1 this month? That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's sold great. You might as well keep doing it.
Sure. Why not? But it used to be, looking at a year's sales chart, it used to be September 1st, sales would slow down. October would be a little bit better. November would be worse than October. December would be great. January would be good. February is great because of our sale.
Yeah.
And then March is bad. But none of those matter anymore. Those sales months comparisons are completely out the window. And it's a case-by-case basis. And we're looking at next week, the beginning of next week, getting significant snow here in Chicago.
Is that right?
Yeah, like 6 inches on Monday.
It was so nice out today before it started pouring rain.
Well, I mean, it was
50
like
degrees.
50-something degrees,
nice.
and then the low of 19 degrees tonight. So
Less nice.
it balances out very quickly here in the city. But, snow is going to be a major factor in people coming in. Yesterday, Wednesday of this week, was a very solid sales number, but with not a huge number of people in.
Yeah, a chunk of it were people that we had given phone calls to over the weekend to say, hey, you didn't come in at all in December. Please come in and buy some comic books.
Yeah, those 94-plus subscribers are eventually coming back in to get some stuff, so stuff piles up.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, you don't want to rely on those. But on the other hand, if you had averaged out those sales over the span of, let's say they came in weekly, you'd still be getting that money, just in a different kind of average.
It wouldn't be as much peaks and valleys as it is, where you have a week where, you're struggling, and then another week where it's huge, and then a week where you're struggling. Like, I'd rather have weeks where we are doing okay.
I do find that when people come in and have a month's worth of books waiting, they don't take a lap. They don't look to see something new. No. They just see a daunting pile and decide, well, I'm not going to buy anything else today.
Yeah, it definitely hampers the ability for people to try out new stuff. Because for a lot of the folks, I'd say, that are coming in so infrequently, some of the reason they're doing it is they haven't even read the last stuff they got. So coming into the store, they're not rushing to do it because they haven't run out of things to read yet. So why go buy new comics when you haven't read the old comics you already bought?
This isn't anything I mentioned anywhere, but one of my New Year's resolutions for 2018 was to read a single comic book every day.
How'd that go?
It's going. Okay. I haven't read one yet today, but literally there are days where I'm like, it's the end of the day, I need to read a comic book.
Sure.
And you would think that wouldn't be hard for someone in my position, but it's obviously a matter of finding time, or you look at a day like Tuesday where I read like 20 books.
Sure.
But it has to be a comic a day, and it doesn't count graphic novels.
Okay, single issue comic.
It would count if I read, like, let's say I read Paper Girls. That would count, because that's 5 or 6 single-issue comics.
Okay.
5 single-issue comics at one time that I hadn't read. And no rereads as well, original, new stuff. Okay. But it won't count original graphic novel stuff. And it doesn't count preview PDFs or things that aren't out yet.
Okay.
So it's honestly a thing that I have to consciously make time for. And I understand getting behind, because I'm behind on a lot of things. For example, Paper Girls. Sure. The last one I read was number 6.
Okay.
So, yeah, it takes time to get it and to get through it. And I share the books I buy with my brother, and I read them and give them to him, and then he reads them and gives them back. Mm-hmm. And more often than not lately, he's just like, here, just take them back. I don't read them. How do you read your comics, Dal?
I don't read a lot at home, and it's something I go through phases where I want to do more of that, and I try to stay up on PDFs that we get from publishers, and try and read graphic novels at home that I've bought or that I haven't read. But lately it's just been like, I read a ton of stuff Tuesday night, like all the new stuff for the week if possible, and then I kind of don't read anything for the next 6 days. When I'm at home, it's one of the last things I want to do, mostly because I work in a comic shop, and I'm surrounded by comic books and talking about comic books and shelving comic books and ordering comic books and organizing comic books. Like, at home, I'd rather watch a TV show or a movie or play a video game or almost literally anything else.
Or, cook dinner for your family, take your kids to school, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't do any of that. So it's maybe something that, again, is just a phase where right now I'm like, I don't really want to read anything. But in a month or two, it may be like, I'm reading a graphic novel at night. This is awesome. Why did I stop? So that'll happen again. But right now, it's just not something I'm doing a lot of at home. But I read so many books on Tuesdays. I mean, it's easily 20 or 30 books every Tuesday.
You are such a fast reader compared to how I read comics.
Some of it is stuff that I keep up with more than I actually read and enjoy. So I'll skim it just to get an idea of, like, where is the story going, because I don't really enjoy it a whole lot, but it's the thing I might have to keep up with for
The purposes
business
to do your job.
reasons.
Yeah.
That happens occasionally. But, I mean, there's still a ton of books every week that I don't even open. I mean, a lot of stuff from, like, DC and Marvel doesn't even get a look in for me.
Yeah, same. More and more is falling off.
Sure.
Just happens that way. Hey, have you heard the rumors of what Brian Michael Bendis' first DC work is?
Action Comics number 1000, with a story illustrated by publisher Jim Lee.
But a backup story. The main story is going to be Dan Jurgens. The
I heard
main
Dan
second
Jurgens
story.
and Pete Tomasi.
I heard
is the thing
Pete
I will
Tomasi's
say.
doing a second story.
Oh, is he? Okay.
And I am not excited by that.
No?
I think if
Which
you want to
part are
make...
you- I'm sorry, which were you not excited by?
Oh, no, I like Action and I like Superman. Those are those are two DC
so
books.
the Bendis Jim Lee thing you're not
Yeah,
excited
I don't think that's a smart move. I think that if you want to make a splash, you give him a book right away. Or unless it's like, hey, starting next issue, he's the new writer.
Well, that was the thing. Like, it sounded like this was part of a larger Superman celebration because his next thing would be the rumored...
Superman standalone series.
Yeah, with Ivan Reis. Like,
Yeah.
if that's the case, then this is the... Hey, if you want more Brian Bendis Superman, like, next week, issue whatever of Superman comes out, and he's doing it.
But it's weird to be talking about that Ivan Reis book when Terrifics hasn't come out yet.
Yeah,
Although, granted, it was pushed back, so I'm sure he's got a couple in the can.
I guess. Interested in the idea of Brian Bendis and Jim Lee doing a comic together as a big deal, mostly because the pre-order numbers for the Immortal Men have been miserable.
Yeah.
Like, I think we have, like, maybe one person down for it as a series?
Maybe.
And, like, maybe one person
Jim
down for it
Lee
as a
is
single
not,
issue?
forgive the pun, an artist draw anymore.
No, which is so weird, because as far as as far as DC's concerned, and Marvel, he's their biggest artist.
Yeah.
He's doing one of the covers for the Justice League home video release.
Oh, okay.
Like, Warner Brothers considers him, like, you know, the face of DC art. And yet, he's doing a new series, and no one who shops at our store cares. Except for one person. One person. That's not good. That's... I don't know how you can look at least the early days of that book in specific, or the New Age of DC Heroes as a success, because, man, the buzz is nothing. You can put, you know, Dark Knight's Metal 18 times on the cover if you want. No one seems excited about it.
Damage...
And they did all the promotion I'd expect them to do. It's in the back of every single DC comic book.
Yeah.
Previews of specific books, the whole line, whatever. It was in the back of Metal. I don't know if it was in the back of Doomsday Clock, but it's been in the back of basically everything else. No one cares.
Damage #1 comes out next week, and we have literally ordered 14 copies.
Uh-huh.
And is anybody in club for that? Maybe one
or again, it might be one person for the title and one person for the first issue, but
Yeah.
it might just be only the first issue. No one might be down for it as a series. I don't remember.
The concept sounds very much like the current Red Hulk from USA Avengers.
Or just any Hulk.
Well, he can only be damaged for an hour a day,
Oh, okay.
just like Red Hulk.
All right.
But I mean, I don't know. That's just premise. I haven't seen. You read the PDF? You tried to read the PDF?
I tried to read the PDF. It was formatted in a way where it was really arduous to get through, and I wasn't into it to begin with, so it didn't seem worth the effort to muddle through. So I'll read it when it comes out this week, but...
Tuesday night?
Man, oh man. You know, if I were DC, I'd be sweating a little bit about this New Age of DC Heroes thing. It seemed like a decent premise when they announced it a year ago, and they had a lot of the pieces in place. There was still a question of, like, is the market looking for new superhero properties from DC? And the answer so far seems to be no, but who knows? Maybe they come out, people are snapping them up, 10 people sign up the first day. It's a huge hit. I'd love for that to happen.
Sure.
That would be great.
And even though I may not be excited personally for the idea of a Bendis backup in action, I'm still willing to tell people about it and push it to see if other people can be excited.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of Marvel books coming up that we're going to push a little bit heavier because they had some incentives that Dal did the math on, and one worked out for us, and one may work out for us.
Yeah. X-Men Red and Infinity Countdown Prime.
Infinity Countdown Prime, since it was just spinning out of Guardians of the Galaxy, and our Guardians of the Galaxy numbers are so very low compared to where they were when Bendis left the book, and they were low then.
Yeah, they were dropping.
That I have no faith in this miniseries, but that's me. I mean, it may be just what it needs to get people interested, and people might care again.
Yeah, Avengers 675 just came out, and that's the thing that we didn't know kind of who would be interested in it beyond people who were already reading the Avengers title. We didn't have a lot of buzz about it from fans asking about it or adding it to their list. But we ordered a bunch of extra copies, and are probably going to be sold out by Sunday.
Yeah, and I think it's still available, number one.
It's going to a second print, so I don't know if it's still available.
But it according to Facebook, it's still available.
Okay, that's cool.
And stores are marketing it as the first full appearance of Voyager, and then stores are marketing the Legacy one-shot as the first cameo of Voyager, and using that to get traction.
That's cool.
It's working for people.
Sure. Everyone's afraid they're going to miss out on that hot book. I don't like marketing stuff that way, but okay, sure.
And this wasn't anything I considered, but now there's a lot of who is Voyager questions. Like, is she Valeria? Is she somebody else? Is she Clea? Is she a previously existing character? And I never even thought that was a thing. I thought she was just somebody new.
I mean, maybe.
I just look at her like a new Triumph or a new Century.
She's just Triumph. I mean, but
a character that we'd forgotten about because they didn't exist.
This is part one of what, like a 16-part story or something. I don't think there's enough information to solve that riddle yet. But if people got theories, that's cool. That's part of the fun, I guess.
I'm bringing this up only because it just shows how things are so different in different parts of the country. Mm-hmm. Marvel is doing a specific variant for the Doctor Strange Damnation miniseries first issue. Have you heard about this?
No.
It's the Tarnation variant.
Okay.
There's a little strip that says Tar over the DAM in Damnation.
Because calling a book Damnation is difficult for some markets?
Yes, and also Tarnation is a big phrase in Texas.
Okay, still?
So Texas stores are excited, and other stores are like, I don't understand this.
Sure.
And other stores are saying, there's a TV show named Damnation, or he's a pagan sorcerer, or things like that.
It's a graphic novel that we're going to be spotlighting based on a new Netflix series called The End of the Fucking World.
Oh, right. I mean, we have Fuck Fairland on the shelves.
Yeah. We got a new pin from Image Comics that says, to quote the poets, we're fucked.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's... We're Chicago.
We definitely are.
Other stores are not.
Yeah.
So I literally looked at it and didn't get it. And I'm like, I don't understand. What does that mean? But looking through the comments, I got it. But the thing that bothered me is the people that are actively railing against it.
Why?
Like, who cares, man? Just don't order it.
Yeah, don't stock it.
Don't belittle somebody else for wanting this. If somebody feels that they don't want to have a book with the word damn in the title on their shelves, respect that.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't hurt me for it to be offered.
Yeah.
But some of it, I think, and I see this with some of the plastic robot toy fandom that I participate in, where recently a manufacturer had announced a new edition of a figure that they'd previously released a couple different colors of. They're doing a fourth color. And they're basically doing it on Facebook as, hey, if people want this, if we get a response to this, we'll do more of it. But we need to hear on Facebook if people want us to go into production on it. And some people are like, no, I'm not interested. And some people are like, yeah, I'm really interested. But there's a third time where people are like, no, and I don't want you to do it. I don't want it to exist. And sometimes you wonder, like, what is the deal? And so someone kind of pressed on it, and the reason is because I have to buy all of them, and I don't want to have to buy a fourth one. You don't have to buy anything. If you're a store that doesn't want to carry this variant, you don't have to carry every variant. That's not a thing. That's not a rule.
Agreed.
You're allowed to say, no, this isn't right for my store, or I don't think this will sell. You don't have to carry a token number of copies that are going to go to waste because it's Marvel, because it's a cover, whatever. That's ridiculous. You break yourself of that mentality, and you free up a lot of money to do a lot of things that your store could use instead of more variant covers that you don't feel like can sell.
So speaking of more variants that you don't feel like you can sell, we seem to be getting more questions and more requests for the DC B covers.
That's true.
Is it worth, hear me out, whatever shelf copies we would get for a book, discounting Club.
Mm-hmm.
Club is always A cover.
Right.
Taking that and splitting that in half to the A and B covers.
We could try that.
I don't necessarily mean allocate 2 spaces for it.
Well, I mean, at least for the New This Week section, it probably would.
But that could. I mean, A could help or B could hinder.
I'm okay with doing it, or at least trying it out.
It does mean more work for both of us.
Yeah, specifically, I mean, for my end, when it comes to formulating numbers for final order cutoffs, that means having to look at 2 different listings every time.
Same thing for initial orders.
Yeah, which sort of sucks. And, I mean, think of how many line items we're going to have on an invoice. Jesus Christ.
But they already have, whether we order them or not, those issue numbers are in the history of a book, at least when I'm doing initial orders. Like, if...
I don't see them in FOCs unless we place an order for
okay. There's even if we don't order it, there's still the lines.
Like, if we ordered at least for subscribers, but if we...
No, you know what? There's not.
Copies,
It's only if we order them. Yeah, it's only if we order them that they have.
Yeah. So that'll be fun.
I mean, we kind of already do it for something like Mr. Miracle.
Yeah, we do it for Mr. Miracle. We do it for Doomsday Clock. We're going to start doing it for Dark Knight's Metal because enough people have been asking about it that it's like we might as well do it.
That's annoying because there's 3.
Yeah, or 4.
Something.
And we'll probably start doing it for White Knight because people keep asking about White Knight.
Yeah.
I don't know. I almost want to draw the line at like miniseries. We'll do it for these miniseries. I don't want to do it every month for Batman
fine.
and Detective and Green Lantern.
One of the calls this week was for the Harley Quinn special.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I don't think.
And of course, all the art germ covers.
Yeah, of course. I don't know that we would have even done it for the Harley Quinn special under those circumstances. The thing I'm thinking of in my brain is like the cutoff would be like we have to get at least 5 copies for the shelf.
Okay.
If I'm splitting,
per cover or total
before we split the covers.
Okay.
Because I don't want to split 4 copies into 2 of each cover.
I gotcha.
That's ridiculous, and I don't want to split stuff that we're getting 2 and 3 copies of. I don't care about the extra copy being another cover or something. But for something like Batman, that we get 15 or 20 copies of at least, that makes it a little bit more valuable to split it because you have an actual stack of each to do.
I wonder if there's ever going to be a point where a customer who gets Batman all the time gets the B cover and doesn't want it because that's all that's left, but that's all they've ever gotten is the A cover.
Maybe.
But honestly, I don't think most people will know that much of a difference.
I mean, I know that there's people who do that at other stores. I've heard those stories where someone... Like, we've had it happen in reverse, where people come in and they're like, hey, do you have the B cover to, Batman White Knight? And I'm like, no, but we have tons of the A cover. Oh, they don't care. They just want the B cover.
Right.
That's all they want. So I guarantee you it can happen in reverse. Yeah,
we had it with X-Men Grand Design. Somebody who got into the book late, so only got the variant cover because that shipped a week later for issue number 1.
Sure.
And then it's like very, very, I don't know, I don't want to say passive-aggressively, but kind of passive-aggressively is looking for the variant cover to number 2.
I think we still have the Mastermind cover.
Okay. Well, this was on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, maybe. The Mastermind cover is so creepy.
Yeah, people
so
like
creepy.
it.
Oh, I like it too, but I don't want to own it.
No, sure.
So
creepy.
Yeah. Too weird. I feel like we should at least call out at one point during this episode a sincere and hearty happy birthday to Chicago's own Lucy Knisley.
Yeah.
It is her birthday today. So far today she had pie and a nap.
On Comics Reporter, they listed her age, and I was going to wish her a very specific birthday, but I don't know if that would be appropriate or not.
No, that's not appropriate. Remember, you can only ask a woman her weight.
But I didn't ask. I was told it by Tom Spurgeon.
Oh, I know. I was.
So I'm allowed, I think, to
mine was a callback to a previous episode lead-in that we did with Kent and Christina McChrystal.
Oh, I didn't listen to that episode. I'm
know.
sorry, I didn't get that reference. But happy 33rd birthday to Lucy Knisley.
Who will be at Challengers definitely for Women's Comics Month, and possibly on February 1st for Hourly Comic Day. We just haven't really planned anything about that.
Yeah, I guess we can segue into talking about events, if you want to talk about events.
Sure.
For a hot minute. As I think we've talked about on previous episodes, we are planning to do a lot more in-store events for Challengers in 2018, beyond the sales and Harley Quinn days. I
feel like we need almost like a different word, because what we're doing now are more events than what we used to do, because those were signings.
Yeah.
like less signings and book promotion, more
Which,
events.
We are still doing.
Yeah.
We've got 2 different signings in February alone, and then I mean, technically, you could say Women's Comics Month is a lot of signings, I guess, because you could buy stuff from people and get it signed.
Sure.
In-store author events. What I'm talking about is more community events. Is how I've been thinking about it. Specifically, the ones that we're going to have coming up. And you can look to the Challenger's website for more information about these as they get added to the calendar.
With its new event listing, which is a calendar.
Yeah, we have an integrated Google Calendar that will be updated. Because some of these events aren't necessarily ones where we're going to do the full court press of a flyer and a banner and all these different things. Like it might just be a thing that says, hey, on this day we're doing this thing at this time, come on by. Because a lot of this stuff is going to be, again, more community-oriented, so it's going to be things that have less build-up to them and more, everyone just come out and we're going to do these things. The first thing we're going to be doing is Challenger's Book Party. Instead of the old book club that we used to do, where it was people sit in a circle and talk about things from a graphic novel that we all read over the month, this is going to be a little bit more social. We'll all be hopefully reading Lucy Knisley's Tilly Walden Spinning over the month of January and February, leading up to the February 26th, which is a Monday, book party for Tilly Walden Spinning at Challengers. It's going to be from 7 to 8:30. We're going to be serving some snacks and some cheap beer. If you've bought the book from us over the month, just bring that with you so you can hold it up and go, hey, I bought this book, and we'll let you into the book party. We're going to be hanging out, talking about the book, or honestly, whatever you want. We're not going to be policing it, so if people want to talk with one another about stuff other than Tilly Walden Spinning, that's fine too. But know that you'll at least have one topic of conversation that you can start with anybody there at the party, so that should hopefully be fun. Going forward, we'll probably be doing...
And I'm going to try to, as many times as I can, to as many different people, open up spinning to a random page, point to it and say, I love this part.
There you go. That's a good reference.
Thanks.
We'll probably be doing the book parties on the last Monday of each month, although that is subject to change if we have an event that needs to take priority from that.
Which is doubtful on Mondays, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know, but I'm just leaving that out there. So, as always, with all of these events that we're going to be talking about, please check our calendar before coming out in case there's any last-minute changes that we tried to communicate and you didn't catch.
And in traditional Challengers, I guess, history, we asked on social medias which day we should pick.
Yeah.
And got the full gamut of answers.
Total split decision. No consensus. Thanks, everybody. One thing I didn't mention is that because this is the book party, we will be offering Tilly Walden Spinning for 20% off through February 25th.
From now until then?
I guess. I haven't made it's on the calendar, and we're printing up flyers as we speak, but I haven't made a sign or anything or moved it in the store, so that's up to you since you work next. If you want to reprice it in the system and make a little spot for it, be my guest. Otherwise, I'll do it Sunday. Yeah, I honestly don't know if we even need to make a special spot for it, although I guess we probably should.
Yeah.
I don't do it for the manga book club anymore because I got tired of doing it.
Well, also, people stopped coming in for
People stopped buying it. But I just changed the price in the system.
Also, the manga book club
so
was not our book club. What about a manga book club?
Well, that's one of the things that we're talking about with people to see if that's something we can make work. Some of the various ideas we've had are down to who has time to do them, and not everybody does, so we're prioritizing different things. One is the book party. The next one is we are going to be doing sealed magic on some Thursday night in the future. We don't have a specific night for it yet, but it's going to be a Thursday night after close, so 7 to question mark. If you are interested in participating, please let us know somehow. Check our website as we eventually update it with what actual day it's going to be on. The only way we can do magic stuff like this, like people have been asking us to do for a while, is if people show up reliably. There's events that we can do with 2 or 3 people. We can't reliably do a magic tournament with 3 people.
And what does a sealed event consist of?
Packs of magic cards. We're going to work out the exact format and price point when we announce what day it's going to be on, but it will be a sealed event, which means it's going to cost you money to show up. Down the line, if enough people...
But I mean, you'll be buying the cards you play with, right?
Correct, yeah.
There's no entrance fee.
Correct. Yeah, the entrance fee is included in your purchase, and so is the prize support. All of that will be for a specific price point that we will list when we are ready to go on it. We are still working out kind of how that stuff's going to operate. So yeah, again, please check our website, check our social media feeds. We will have stuff on Facebook probably, and hopefully Twitter when things get announced. We will definitely give people some warning so they can schedule stuff, but Thursday nights is what we're looking at for Casual Magic. One of the other things, this was an Ashley Challenger idea that I really liked. Movie nights. I know a lot of stores do this. We've never really looked to do it, but for 2018 it seems like something we can do pretty easily. So at some point in February or March we'll do our first movie night. It's basically just going to be a comic-themed movie that we're going to play in the store.
Should it specifically be Civil War, so it's like a build-up to Black Panther?
Would you like it to be?
I mean, I think that's an idea.
Okay.
Right?
So,
but doesn't Black Panther come out really soon?
Yeah, so we'd have to do it like maybe the first week of Feb. So maybe we could do that then. I don't mind doing it. One of the things that we're curious about is what day of the week we should do this on.
What night of the week?
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be an after-hours thing again.
Should I do a social media poll?
Yeah, please. So if you've got some feedback as to which nights we could do this that would work out, that you and maybe friends could show up and participate in this, that would be great. It's basically going to be a thing that's a free event. You come, you watch the movie. We might have some snacks. We will probably not be providing drinks, so it's BYOB. If you want to bring something to snack on, you want to bring some soda or something, or an adult beverage, that's fine.
One of the things with movie nights for us is that we can't. There's only a certain level of darkness we can get at the store.
Exactly.
There are 3 banks of lights that
don't go out.
Even they're not even on our circuits at all.
They're not designed to ever be turned off.
So they're on 24 hours a day. So it's not going to be like movie theater dark.
Right. Yeah, this is going to be the equivalent of if you turn the lights down in your living room. That's about how dark it's going to get. Not going to be pitch black. It'll be a little dark. So that's a thing. The big thing we're doing that we are hopefully going to be soft launching.
Wait, there's more
in February with a dedicated regular event starting in March. Is a Challengers Ladies Night. I'm trying to get it to be called Gallingers. Go
for real?
Yeah,
that's bad.
I really want it to be Gallingers.
I don't think anybody wants to be called a gal.
Well, this was my suggestion. One of the key things about Ladies' Night at Challengers is that you and I aren't really participating in it.
Right, I know. I saw your comment about Gallingers. Literally thought it was a joke.
Real thing I wanted to be called Gallingers.
Okay.
So I pitched that to Samantha Challenger, who's going to be taking the lead on Ladies' Night. I've been talking with her about it, mostly just kind of answering some questions and trying to offer some guidance. I really don't want to be the one planning anything and saying it has to be this way. The whole point of Ladies' Night is that ladies should make it an event that they're happy with and they're comfortable with and that serves their interest. I don't even know if I'm going to be there. Like, I feel like I shouldn't be, but that's, again, really up to Samantha and the other women of Challengers who are coordinating and designing this event.
You know, it goes both ways, because I know another Ladies' Night where the male manager of the store leaves early, and some of the women think that's disrespectful.
Right.
So,
but I would see it the other way, which is why he's probably leaving, which is, hey, it's Ladies' Night. If this is going to be a space for ladies to be comfortable in a comic shop, and it's just a ladies' event, maybe I shouldn't be here. And I guess the maybe is I'm going to leave up to Samantha and whoever is helping her on that to say, look,
Kent.
you Kent. Just to say, like, look, do you want... I'll be here working the register if you want me to, if that frees you up to participate and be more hands-on with, games and leading discussions and all sorts of stuff. But I will also not be here if you prefer for it to be women only. So that's... I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know what's going to be. That will be another Monday night thing. Potentially soft launching mid-February. It will definitely have at least one event running during Women's Comics Month in March. But yeah, we are still figuring out some of the details on that. Once again, check our website, our calendar, our social media feeds. We'll have all that stuff up and running. Hopefully by the end of January, we'll have some firm details on all of these different events that we didn't have firm details for yet. I like the idea of Cap Civil War, so what day of the week would that? I don't know, like... What's a good day of the week for a movie night, Patrick? What do you think?
Well, I think Wednesday, so people could come get their new books and hang out and see a movie. But we used to do the book club on Wednesdays.
Yeah, one of the things because I've also been talking to a lot of different people at Challengers about different kinds of events that are not necessarily as far along in the process. Donovan had one today that I'm like, that's awesome, we're going to do that. But it's...
I wouldn't know, Dal.
I will tell you about it afterwards. But it's not it's something that we'd have to figure out her schedule and what day she can do it on, and then we can say, we're doing this. So Black Panther comes out Thursday, February 15th.
Yeah.
So...
We can't do it the 14th.
No. Well, I don't know that I'd want to do it, because that Monday could potentially be Ladies' Night, the 12th.
Right.
And I was kind of telling folks who are looking to do events, like, not so much Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday because we put the books out, and I don't want to not put the books out in favor of an event. And Wednesday, we're usually so tired that I don't know that I, like, just personally want to do another 3 hours in the store after close, you know, watching Cap Civil War. So another day of the week might be better, but I don't know what day. Like, I don't know what's a good... Like, is Friday or Saturday too busy?
Try to stay away from those days because these aren't... I don't know that these events are enough for people to give up their perceived other social obligations.
Right.
Or their only weekend for. These are, like, weekday slot-ins. Like, oh, here's something else fun you can do during the week.
Yeah, maybe we should just try and do it that 7th and just see what happens.
What day is the 7th?
It's a Wednesday.
Okay. Wait, the 7th?
February 7th.
I thought it opened on the 15th.
Right, but I mean, we can't do it on the 14th because we got Mike Norton. So I mean,
oh,
isn't that what you were talking about?
Yeah, no, I didn't think of that at all. But maybe Norton will stay. Anyway, I mean, it's after hours, right?
Sure. Do you want to do it on the 14th?
Sure, why not?
I guess the other thing is it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's true.
So that might make it difficult for people to come in.
I don't know. I think Civil War is very romantic.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the love story of the century in Captain Bucky.
Right? And at the same time, it has a lot of really good Falcon Bucky stuff, too.
That's true. So, I mean, the 14th, you want me to do it on the 14th?
Sure, let's put it out and see what happens.
Okay, February 14th then. After hours, we're going to do Cap Civil War and see how it goes.
For this event calendar set up on the website, is there a way for people to... I don't use calendars like this at all.
Sure.
Is there a way for
people... I don't
people
either, so I'm learning as I go.
To... obviously, like, add it to their calendars and things, but does that give us a notification? Like, oh, one person added to their calendar.
I'm not
to
sure.
give us an idea of people who are...
I can't tell because I started the calendar and it's my calendar, so if you go to it and pick any of them and say, yes, add to my calendar, I'll then be able to go in and check and see, like, does it give us a notification?
Gotcha.
Or does it say you're attending or whatever?
Like, I'm not even asking for specifics like, oh, Patrick Brower said he's attending.
No, but it'd be
just
nice
curious
to know.
if it said a person is attending, so we know.
Because, like, when we post stuff on Facebook, we have at least some idea if, like, 14 people say they're going, that 3 people will actually show up. We can do the math in our head.
And I haven't looked at Meetup at all, because you set all that up.
Yeah.
Is it worth putting all of these things on that site?
All of them, maybe not. Like, things like signings and sales, no.
No, but I meant these new activities.
Stuff, yeah, they'll all go on there at some point.
Okay.
I will probably add the spinning book party soon. All the ladies' night stuff via Meetup or Facebook is going to be Sam. Mm-hmm. When she's worked something up, it'll go there. Yeah, and I gave her access to the calendar so she can add it to the calendar when it's ready to go. But yeah, the rest of it, like any community event that we're going to do, is going to go on Meetup for sure.
Okay.
I'll end up taking care of those. Probably some of them over the weekend. When I've got some time.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all. I mean, we got so many ideas in the hopper that are going to be more March, April, May oriented. And some of those will take the place of some of the things we just talked about that may or may not work out. Movie nights will happen as often as we can. And some of that depends on what else is going on in the month and how many people show up. If 2 and 3 people are showing up regularly, maybe we're going to do less movie nights. But if, 5 and 10
maybe
people
we'll
are
see
showing
Whiteout.
up... Yeah, right.
Maybe we'll see Whiteout one day.
Yeah. But yeah, stuff like ladies' night, book parties, those are going to be monthly events with a set day of the week. Casual Magic, we're going to do it a Thursday night to start with, and we'll see how it goes. It needs to be worth the time of the people who are working there. So again, if no one's showing up, it's not worth it for us to keep Kent or Donovan or whoever is going to be there. But yeah, we've got a lot of stuff in the works. Hopefully people can check some of them out and let us know if they're worth doing.
And speaking of things that are worth doing, boy, you guys should be reading Runaways.
Yeah, boy, it's good, isn't it?
Such a good book. It feels like an immediate continuation from when Brian K. Vaughan left.
Yeah, it skips all the stuff that maybe wasn't so good or that didn't quite pan out.
It's a great story. It's great art.
No offense to anyone who's working on those books. I like Catherine Newman a lot. I like
Terry Moore.
Terry Moore. I like...
You like Humberto Ramos?
I like Humberto Ramos. I liked Michael Ryan.
I like Joss Whedon.
Not crazy about the Joss Whedon storyline.
No, but I like Joss Whedon. I like his work outside of Runaways. I don't know him to like him as a person. I'm just saying I've liked his.
Feel like he
takes
stuff. Runaways. I kind of feel like that's what happened with that book. Those issues. So many people came to those issues, and man, it just.
Well, all right. Let's not talk about those issues. Let's talk about the Rainbow Roll ones because they're so great.
They're really good. It's a really good book. I like all those characters. It's very fun.
And is Judas living up to your expectations with number 2?
Haven't read issue 2 yet.
Oh my goodness!
I hope so. Did you like it?
Oh my goodness! I'm not saying anything. You haven't read it.
Okay. I will.
Okay.
It's just Tuesday when we got copies and we didn't have all of our shelf copies yet. So I didn't want to snag it because I thought I'd need to take some time with it.
I see.
Like I finally read the last issue of Angelic Monday because we didn't have copies and I finally dug one up.
Gotcha.
And it's still good.
All right. Well, there it is. This has been our follow-up episode to all the sales information, and it's hopefully we got the lease, so that's very promising.
Yeah.
The biggest hurdle we have now is our taxes. Mm-hmm. That'll be fun. And then we have a lot of stuff looking forward to for the future, and hopefully you will join us. So thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.